December 7, 1941, a day that would forever alter the course of history. A date etched in the annals of American history, remembered for its profound impact and the lives it changed. It began like any other Sunday morning at Pearl Harbor, the U.S. Pacific Fleet's home. The sun rose over Oahu, casting a warm glow on the battleships moored in neat rows. The serene waters reflected the calmness of the early hours, giving no hint of the chaos that was about to ensue. Sailors stirred from their sleep, unaware of the impending horror. They went about their routines, some writing letters home, others preparing for the day's duties. The air crackled with anticipation for the upcoming Army-Navy football game. It was a day of relaxation and camaraderie, a brief respite from the tensions of a world at war. In a few short hours, everything would change. The peaceful morning would give way to a nightmare of fire and destruction. The tranquility of paradise would be shattered by the deafening roar of aircraft engines and the explosions of bombs. The sky, once clear and blue, would be filled with smoke and the sounds of battle. A day of infamy was about to unfold. The attack would leave an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of all who witnessed it. The tranquility of Pearl Harbor on that fateful morning was deceptive. Beneath the calm surface, tensions were simmering, and the stage was set for a dramatic and violent confrontation. The United States, though officially neutral, was already deeply involved in the escalating conflict in Europe and Asia. The world was on the brink of a global war, and the U.S. was preparing for the possibility of being drawn into the fray. Tensions with Japan were high, but negotiations continued in Washington. Diplomatic efforts were being made to avoid conflict, but trust was eroding, and the situation was becoming increasingly volatile. Few believed that Japan would launch such a daring and devastating attack on American soil. The surprise assault on Pearl Harbor would not only bring the United States into World War II, but also unite a nation in its resolve to fight back and defend its freedom. The Hawaiian sun, already climbing higher in the sky, bathed the Pacific Fleet in its warm light. Sailors went about their morning routines. Breakfast aromas wafted from the mess halls. On Battleship Row, men prepared for Sunday services. The atmosphere was relaxed, even complacent. Few could have imagined the inferno that awaited them. Unbeknownst to the men at Pearl Harbor, a Japanese strike force under the command of Admiral Chuichi Nagumo was approaching. 6 aircraft carriers carrying hundreds of planes were poised to unleash their deadly cargo. Their target, the heart of the U.S. Pacific Fleet. At 7:55 a.m. local time, the first wave of Japanese aircraft, over 180 strong, descended upon Pearl Harbor. Zero fighters, torpedo bombers, and dive bombers emerged from the morning sky, catching the Americans completely by surprise. The attack began without warning, a lightning strike against an unsuspecting target. The initial moments were a cacophony of explosions, gunfire, and desperate cries. Japanese torpedoes slammed into the hulls of battleships. Bombs rained down on airfields and ships. The serenity of the morning was replaced by the chaos of war. The primary target of the Japanese attack was Battleship Row, where 8 U.S. battleships lay at anchor. The Japanese pilots, highly trained and motivated, aimed their torpedoes with deadly accuracy. Within minutes, the battleships were engulfed in flames and sinking beneath the waves. The USS Arizona, struck by an armor-piercing bomb that detonated its forward magazine, exploded in a catastrophic fireball. The Oklahoma capsized. The West Virginia, California, and Nevada were all heavily damaged. The attack on Battleship Row was a devastating blow to the U.S. Pacific Fleet. Section 5, Chaos and Courage, Ordinary Men in Extraordinary Times. Amidst the chaos and carnage, acts of extraordinary courage unfolded. Sailors, many still in their pajamas, rushed to their battle stations. Anti-aircraft guns roared to life, sending a hail of fire into the sky. Firefighters and medics worked tirelessly to save lives and extinguish blazes. On the ground, soldiers and Marines scrambled to defend airfields and establish some semblance of order. Pilots, their planes riddled with bullets, took to the skies to engage the enemy. The bravery displayed that day exemplified the American spirit in the face of adversity. Section 6, the second wave, Relentless Assault. At 8:50 a.m., the second wave of the Japanese attack, consisting of over 170 aircraft, arrived over Pearl Harbor. This wave focused on the airfields and the remaining ships in the harbor. Hangars and aircraft were reduced to rubble. Dry docks and repair facilities were targeted, crippling the U.S. Navy's ability to recover quickly. The second wave further solidified Japan's initial success. The attackers, having achieved complete surprise, had inflicted heavy damage on the U.S. Pacific Fleet and its supporting infrastructure. Section 7. A Nation Awakens. From Shock to Fury. News of the attack on Pearl Harbor spread like wildfire across the United States. The morning of December 7, 1941, would forever be etched in the memories of Americans. As the sun rose, so did the realization of the gravity of the situation. Americans, accustomed to peace and isolation, were stunned by the audacity of the attack and the images of destruction flashing across their radio waves. Families huddled around their radios, hanging on every word, trying to grasp the enormity of the event that had just unfolded. The initial shock quickly gave way to a wave of anger and a thirst for retribution. The nation, once divided on the issue of entering the war, now found a common cause. The streets were filled with a mix of fear, anger, and a newfound sense of unity. President Franklin D. Roosevelt, in a somber address to Congress, declared December 7th a date which will live in infamy. His words resonated deeply with the American people, capturing the collective sentiment of a nation in mourning and outrage. He asked for, and received, a declaration of war against Japan. The decision was swift and unanimous, reflecting the urgency and gravity of the situation. The United States was now committed to a path of war. The United States, once hesitant to enter the global conflict, was now fully engaged. Factories shifted to war production, young men enlisted in droves, and the entire nation mobilized for the war effort. The attack on Pearl Harbor had awakened a sleeping giant, and the world would soon witness the full might of American resolve. The days following the attack were a blur of activity. Rescue workers toiled tirelessly to recover bodies and treat the wounded. The stench of burning oil and flesh hung heavy in the air. The full extent of the damage became agonizingly clear. Over 2,400 Americans were dead, including civilians. Nearly 1,200 were wounded. 18 ships were sunk or heavily damaged, including all 8 battleships. Over 180 aircraft were destroyed. The attack on Pearl Harbor was a national tragedy of immense proportions. The survivors of Pearl Harbor carry with them the searing memories of that day. Their stories, often harrowing and heartbreaking, paint a vivid picture of the chaos, courage, and loss. One survivor recalled, "It was like a scene from hell. Fire everywhere, explosions, men screaming." Another survivor, a young sailor at the time, described the desperate fight for survival. "We were just trying to stay alive to help our buddies. You didn't have time to be scared." These first-hand accounts serve as a powerful reminder of the human cost of war. The attack on Pearl Harbor was a pivotal moment in World War II. It galvanized the American people and unified them behind the war effort. The United States, with its vast industrial might and unwavering resolve, would play a decisive role in the ultimate defeat of the Axis powers. The attack also had political consequences. It brought the United States into a global conflict that would reshape the world order. The post-war world, with its emphasis on international cooperation and the prevention of future atrocities, was in many ways shaped by the events of December 7, 1941. The legacy of Pearl Harbor is a complex one, woven with threads of sorrow, bravery, and lessons learned. It is a day forever associated with tragedy, loss, and a failure of intelligence. The surprise attack on December 7, 1941, caught the United States off guard, leading to devastating consequences. But it is also a day that revealed the resilience of the American spirit and the unwavering courage of ordinary men and women thrust into extraordinary circumstances. In the face of adversity, they showed remarkable strength and unity, coming together to defend their nation. Today, the USS Arizona Memorial stands as a poignant reminder of the sacrifices made on that fateful day. It honors the memory of the 1,177 crewmen who lost their lives aboard the battleship, serving as a symbol of national resolve and remembrance. It serves as a place of remembrance, reflection, and a call for peace. Visitors from around the world come to pay their respects, to reflect on the past, and to hope for a future free from such devastating conflicts. The events of December 7, 1941 continue to resonate, reminding us of the human cost of conflict and the importance of vigilance, diplomacy, and understanding in a world still grappling with the threat of war. As we remember Pearl Harbor, we are reminded of the enduring need to strive for peace and to learn from history, ensuring that such a tragedy never happens again.